recent discussions held by the IMF points towards a new system and an old system of cross-border payments. And it is not yet surfing the waves in the sunlight, but it is still in the route to solve these problems which we have now in the cross-border payments. But remember that the central banks are watching this show and they are moving in fast. And it gets interesting when they endorses the idea of XRP being a global trade coin. Remember here they show XRP, they highlight XRP via XRapid, that's XRP Ledger and XRP. And remember they are highlighting this in an area where they are promoting a private digital currency for cross-border payments. Now that has a lot to do. As we go with this video, you'll get to know directly from these reputed individuals highlighting their point of view, and you're gonna get to know that like the new solution, why it should be there, because central bank digital currencies are gonna come out. It's going to be complete control in the domestic environment, and then you're going to have private digital money for cross-border payments in between the central bank digital currency. You can either name it as a vehicle currency or a bridge currency, but the fact of the matter is it is appearing in central banks' perspectives, and they are highlighting a textbook here when private digital money becomes significant. And when you go into that one, you kind of get the idea of what they are really looking at. So that's not something which is far ahead. Instead, they are looking at this system becoming private money for cross-border payments in few years. So we are at a time here that we are looking for a global adoption of this system, and the price of the asset is so low, and we are the investors here. Now it's completely up to you guys to understand that the cake is already baked. Just it's not yet there on the table for you to take a bite. Welcome to the Scientific Investor family, where we discuss crypto and science behind investing regularly. If you saw value for your time, please do support the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. If you would like to extend your support, you can use the PayPal, Patreon or the XRP wallet address in the description. Now Patreon will allow you to unlock more value for your portfolio. You can contact me personally. We can discuss about your portfolio, different assets than XRP, say little B commodities like gold, silver or Forex. If you are doing that or other crypto assets, you can get personalized charts for the assets which you do have in your account. Now this video, it's actually a little long, but we'll actually go through the areas which are really important for us. Say we can actually start somewhere here. It's around 2 minutes 15 seconds, and then we'll take some chunks of this video which really matters for us.
And a topic that is gathering more attention, the future of cross-border payments. With digitalization of all aspects of our lives, here we are virtually connected, accelerated today by COVID-19, once a boring subject, many called cross-border payments plumbing. Now it takes center stage in policymaking. We have
So in this age of digitalization and due to the economic crisis, you have to understand all these keywords which they are using. Once a boring topic, who used to call them plumbing, say the infrastructure of financial structure, but right now it's getting the center stage. And the regulators, policymakers, all are looking at it. So what do you actually think about that? It's not something, which we can close our eyes to, because it really has a lot of information which we have to open our eyes to. Because you do have to understand, we do look at things in a positive and a negative way. Now, if they are talking openly about an old and a new system for global financial system, say payments, cross-border payments, then we should also be looking into that one.
By the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Now, fixing these shortcomings will require a concerted and coordinated global effort involving a variety of public and private actors. And it is urgent given the need to spur economic recoveries and counter fragmentation, particularly post-COVID-19. We must improve existing systems and we must explore new ones, potentially taking advantage of central bank digital currencies.
So they are talking about accelerating the movement into the new system with central bank digital currency. Now, as I already played this video and I saw different areas which I would like to highlight, I'm kind of, tempted to say that it's kind of, when we move in that area, we all know that it's kind of a new world order, blah, blah, blah. It's a conspiracy, whatever it is. But from their words itself, we do feel like we are going to be controlled in a domestic environment using central bank digital currency with respect to payments.
Coming up with new solutions could bring significant efficiency gains, but it could also affect monetary and financial stability. Widespread use of new forms of digital money could make it harder for country authorities to run independent monetary policy and control domestic financial conditions. And as we integrate new technologies, we reap off the benefits of doing so, we also must contain risks. And that can only be done through international cooperation to help us all understand the macro-financial effects of using digital money across borders, make sure that all systems, old systems, new systems, operate with each other, foster common settlement infrastructure, and make solutions that benefit all countries and all people.
Did you guys actually notice that? That's really interesting. Now let's actually just understand each words which he kind of highlighted, right? So they are talking about moving into a new system at first. Now they are saying the old system and the new system should actually go hand in hand. It should work together. And what she told, it's like the central bank digital currency, it's coming out, and we have a lot of positive side, but we do have to limit the negative side. So one of the negative side which you'll get to know in the same video if you watch in full is they talk about movement of capital from one nation to another. So capital control. They don't want to do that. So automatically when they are looking at this in a manner of government control, central bank digital currency, regulations, regulators, policies and all, they're kind of highlighting cross-border payments or international system is going to be a different one, a new system, and for the domestic one it's going to be a new system. Why? Because they are looking at private digital currencies as well. They understand the risks of that one which can create for risk now in the sense for them as a government, right? So they highlight a old and new system at first, then the old and new system should be going in hand, after which they highlight the digital asset for cross-border payments. Now when you move into this particular document from Europe, you kind of get to see something similar. Now within the same document, when you go down, you can see this. They are talking about Xrapid there for their payments, payment today in Norway, and then in the same one as I highlighted before, they highlight this book. So you can actually go into that book, go through, read it entirely, and the area where they talk about a global trade currency, that means from one nation to another to settle that payment. Now the settlement can still be in a USD, but the difference would be you will be going through the USD value via a global trade currency. And then they highlight this. Xrapid is an example of private digital money potentially playing a role in cross-border payments within few years. Today, they explain the background with Swift, how it is done and all, but at the bottom when you come down, they highlights the bank uses crypto exchange to switch from their fiat to a crypto asset, which is XRP, and then the other end, we know the procedure, right? It goes back to another exchange, from there to the domestic fiat. Now, this is all happening at a time we can actually see this is kind of getting a fire behind it. Now, do understand at the bottom they do highlight, however, it requires liquidity on both sides of crypto exchange. Now, that is one of the issue we have right now. And when the price of XRP is going to be pumped at least till $1 or even previous all-time highs, we are going to have that massive liquidity to start processing all of these cross-border payments. And at the same time, do understand, we do have competitors. It continues, XRapid is not alone in doing so. IBM has a comprehensive project called Blockchain Worldwide that works more or less in exactly same way, right? Whereas they use a crypto asset called Stellar. Now, do you remember why we highlight XRP, XLM, XDC, Quant and all? Because these are going to be private money of the future, because they have a use case solving the real pain points. Now, jumping back into the same video, if you actually come around say the perspective which was laid from SAMA, the Saudi Arabian Monetary Authority, it's around say 21 minutes. They kind of give that picture about how you are going to use DLT, how they are looking at central bank digital currency, but a wholesale one. And how they conducted the trials with UAE banks, like 6 banks from UAE and Saudi. They executed that, and they understand that there is a huge potential in this area.
Such projects. The Aber project created good opportunities for commercial banks who are key stakeholders of any wholesale CBDC project to have first-hand experience of using and operating DLT-based interbank payment solution. I am in the view that wholesale CBDC is a topic worth exploring further for a number of reasons. First, it can improve the architectural resilience of the payment infrastructure through relative decentralization. Second, it can lead to improvements in security by using wholesale CBDCs on DLT platform as a backup to the RTGS. We believe.
So when Fed is saying, yeah, CBDC is important, we are actually working on that, but for us, it's important to put that one correctly instead of being first, and they're still delaying. In other words, they are, guys who are really slowing it down. What? If you look at China, if they can do it, others can also do it. Just they are lazy, right? Now, compare just another institution, say Apple and Samsung. You can compare the competition between them. If one comes up with an airport, the other do come up with that. The one is looking at, say, charger. The other one is looking at that one. So this is kind of, competition. If you are not in the race, you should be sitting in that side. And Fed is sitting in the side, but they're saying, no, we are in the race. So that kind of creates a confusion there. Now, one of the important aspects which we get from the Bank of International Settlement guy here, which should be, a little bit of caution there, but still, anyway, that's the reality. We have to face it. So being an investor in this time, you have to take the opportunity. If you see an opportunity, you should be trying to seize it. And for that, you need more information so that your cognitive ability is broad enough to process that. Now, listen to this.
For example, in cash, we don't know, for example, who's using a $100 bill today. We don't know who is using a 1,000 peso bill today. A key difference with the CBDC is that central bank will have absolute control on the rules and regulations that will determine the use of that expression of central bank liability. And also, we will have the technology to enforce that. Those two issues. And somebody in a third country wants to use it, it will require the consent of the central bank of the residence of that person. Therefore, the degree of control will be far bigger. Now,
Now, yes, we agree, we kind of understand that the degree of control is going to be far bigger, and that's what it is, at least or until an asteroid comes to the earth and everything changes. We can't say that we are going to get something else. This is what it is. So while this is happening, how can you actually get on top of this one as an investor?
This space for partnership, there may be need to counter with independent solutions what the private sector is coming up, going back to Libra. How do you see remaining on the front of these developments? What is the Fed thinking in that regard? And how?
After listening to the initiatives by other nations and then listening to the answer from Fed for this particular question, that's kind of, I still stand upon the first stage, which I was thinking about, the same from Fed. Yes, they are lazy. Yes, they are slow. So when you talk literally about cross-border payments, a vision for future, they are not really there for that future. Now, we actually talked about multiple chances that world is changing, and we can see that it is changing, and we do understand it's changing, right? It's a new system. So Michael actually sent me this one, and it kind of gets well with the news which we have right now, right? Fed will use digital dollars to unleash inflation and to promote universal basic income and other stuff. So what we are looking at is like a recession, a huge recession can be walking towards us. Now, yes, we are in a recession, economic recession, if you look at all the different stages. But do understand, this is just the starting. Now, if you go, I'll put this link in the description. So if you want to read through this, it kind of gives you an idea about what really is happening in the world with the monetary policy, the economics and all. Now, let's move on and look at how this will actually affect us, because when we show you this one, now, yes, currently it has been rebranded. It's on-demand liquidity. And when they talk about this thing becoming a private money for cross-border payments, and then look at Ripple's move towards London, their idea towards moving into a nation which have more clarity for that digital asset. You have to think that if we kind of say like Ripple is just dumping their coin, they don't care about XRP and all, this is kind of extremely opposite to that, right? They do care about that asset 100%, and that's the only reason why they are looking to relocate. If US is not coming up with proper regulations, they don't have any other choice, so they will move. Now, if you look at the partnerships coming up across the globe, you can see that the cross-border payments is really getting interesting, and that's why you can say James actually tweeted this one out, and a shout out to him. If you actually watch this one, now it's kind of giving you a similar idea about US, but if you listen to that one from Japan, you kind of get a more advanced approach. They are actually looking at digital assets, crypto assets in a way that it can be used, and they are talking about central bank digital currency in a different aspects than US, but still you kind of get to know that they both are talking, in between, they are having conversations about the same, and they are moving forward. Now, if you understand that, and then look at the private sector who are jumping into this particular opportunity, they're seizing that one for cross-border payments. If you see that, they're expanding, right? Because they understand that the remittance value from Canada was 27 billion. Now, yes, compared to India and other nations, it's not that huge, but still, considering the amount and the value which these companies can retrieve from doing that business, they are in that. Now, as we told, they are looking to capitalize on such a dynamic remittance market, and it won't only be one guys who are entering here, right? As pointed out by Brad in the recent swell, financial institutions say 20% of Ripple net transactions are performed by XRP. So when we see this kind of expansion, you should also understand that they are looking across 100 countries, 58 settlement currencies. That means once these regulators give that green light it's going to be a huge green candle to the upside. And those who understand that opportunity here will stick to this one, right? Now, we actually highlighted this one previously too, but there was a day when it was shown in CoinCodex that the all-time high reached 50,000 back in September 17. Now, I was not able to see that in price in different exchanges, at least where I trade. But when I saw this news, it was like, oh, that's too huge, right? But at the same time, if you look at the circulating supply of 43 billion and that amount, and then look at the liquidity it provides for the entire market to process the payments, you'll understand that's too much. You don't even need that much to process the value which is moving right now. But looking at the future, yes, it is required. Why? If you look at these kind of adoption rates, investors coming in, putting their millions, like in this one highlighted by Cryptic Poet, $586 million in cryptocurrency deposits. Guys, we are in early stage. We could have said that way before, say a year back. Now, investors are actually jumping in more than ever. They are pouring in money. So if you have accumulated your asset and you are looking for a price appreciation, you should be understanding all of these geopolitical scenarios and the government's attention towards the movement of crypto, because they would like to get the maximum control out of it, and they would stand for that. Now, this article shows most professional European investors bought digital assets or plan to. Now, that actually comes back to what we just highlighted here. Money is pouring in. And if you are ready with this, you'll understand that the monetary system will give us the green light without further delay. Now, if they don't, they are the losers there. Companies like Ripple and other blockchain technologies will move into a nation which have that regulatory clarity. So they do understand what it is happening around them. Now, if you look at the price action, say this is what we are getting. Even though we are getting all these positive news, price is still doing that boring movement in and around. But do understand it is still moving on that trend line support to the upside, trending up. If it won't break this level of 0.24 and go down and close, it's still bullish. So our target remains the same as 0.32 towards 0.34 for XRP. Now, if you zoom in on the same and look at this, this is the pattern which the price is moving. They are buying at the bottom, selling at the top. So it's kind of high frequency trading done by the bots. So it will be hard to beat them if you are trading this market in a shorter time frame, say a 30-minute, 1 hour or 2 hour chart. It would be difficult to do so unless you are a completely dedicated full day trader. If you don't have that much time, don't jump into that one to do it. Now, why I say so, if you look at the general market, say BTC, you can see a first wave which just went to the upside right here. And then you are getting a similar pattern like a flag, which is seen here. Now, if the blast is coming up from here, it may go towards 14,000 and that will beat the all-time high of last year. And we should be moving towards the all-time highs of Bitcoin, which is around 20,000. So if Bitcoin is respecting that level after making this head and shoulder pattern, inverse head and shoulder pattern, then the target would be $24,000 per Bitcoin. So if you are in the cryptocurrency market, we still have to understand these are a little bit early days. Now, we haven't actually got the exact early price points. If at least for BTC, we didn't manage because it was like 4 cycles. It's already over. And for XRP, this one is the second one. So the chances are huge that you can get onto this train before it leaves. Now, you can argue that these guys have been saying the same for a long time, 3 years. But do understand, this is the bear market which we are talking about. Right, the extended bear market. If you bought your positions here and if you're still standing here, do appreciate the content creators in YouTube who have been giving you the positive reason and the motivation to stay here instead of just taking the loss and running away and crying. If you look back in the history, you can see a guy who purchased pizza with his Bitcoin. Now look at him thinking about the same. So don't be that guy, right? Now it's completely up to you. It's no offense to that particular guy. I'm just stating the financial education and how financial markets work. So guys, that's all for today, and if you did receive value, please do support the channel, hit that like and subscribe button. If you would like to get extended value, you can use Patreon for enhancing your portfolio with different assets. So guys, I'll meet you on the next video. Bye for now.